Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ellie and today's video is going to be a book haul. This is my first book haul of 2023. These are all books that I have picked up over the last couple of weeks. Some are from the works, some are from WH Smith's, and some of them are ones I purchased secondhand on Vinted. So I don't want this video to be too long, so let's get started. So the first two I picked up from WH Smith. They were in a 2 for £12 deal, and I got Marriage for One and The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays. I own To Love Jason Thorne and To Hate Adam Connor. I think that's the way around they go, and I haven't yet read them, but the spines all match, so I picked these up because I thought the four books would look really cute on my shelves. But I have heard a lot of good things about Marriage for One, so I think I'm gonna like it. I've also been really into like college and sports romances, so this one doesn't say anything about it being a sports romance on the back, but the cover is telling me that this is going to be a sports romance. But either way, the cover is really cute on it, so these may have been complete cover buys, but I really think I'm going to like them. Then on my second trip to WH Smith's, I also picked up another two books. They were also in the 2 for £12 deal. The first one I got was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. By the time this video goes up, I would have already posted a reading vlog. If you want my opinions, I will leave a link to that video in the description down below. This has been really hyped up on BookTok. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I won't go into it because I've done my reading vlog. Then I also picked up 1,000 Heartbeats by Kira Cass. I haven't really seen too much about this, but because it was within the 2 for £12 deal, I'd already picked up Icebreaker, so I thought I might as well get another book whilst I'm here, and this was the one that stood out to me. And I've not heard anyone talk about this book yet, which is interesting. I really like the cover with the pinks and the purples, but this is the story of Annika, who is going to be forced into a loveless marriage for political gain. But then there is another guy called Lennox, and he is working to dethrone Annika's father. So I'm not a fan of the marriage of convenience trope, but by the sounds of it, I'm hoping that it's literally just going to be a bit at the start and it's not going to be like a huge part of the book, because she's going to meet somebody else. This is quite a chunky book, so I don't know when I'm actually going to get round to reading it, but it sounds intriguing. Then I went to the works and I bought 6 books. These were all in the 3 for £6 deal, so I didn't feel too guilty about buying a huge stack. So the first one on the pile here is The Marriage Game by Sarah Dessay. I'm apologising if I'm saying that wrong. Last time I went to the works, I picked up another book by this author, which was Singles Table. I haven't yet read it, but I've seen a lot of people on BookTok say they really enjoyed it. This book, and the cover is really pretty as well. This one is the story of Layla. Her father has set up a series of blind dates without her knowing, and she is working from an office above her dad's restaurant, and it sounds like her dad also rents out the office to someone else, and there's some miscommunication and they have to share an office where they're both running their businesses out of it. It sounds like this is going to be a kind of hate to love, enemies to lovers kind of thing. Then I found Meant to Be by Hannah Orenstein. I've never seen or heard this book, but I just needed to pick up another one to make up one of the 3 for £6 deals. So I read the blurb of this one and I thought it sounded like one that I was really going to enjoy. So this is about Edie, and her grandmother has successfully predicted the day that all of her family members are going to meet the love of their lives. So this time Edie is given her date of the 24th of June 2022. Then that morning she boards an airplane to her twin sister's surprise engagement, and a handsome musician sits beside her and she knows it is meant to be. Fate comes with more complications than Edie expected, and she can't fight the nagging suspicion that her perfect guy doesn't have perfect timing. And after a shocking revelation rocks Edie's carefully constructed world, she is forced to consider whether love chooses us as simple as destiny, or if we choose it ourselves. This isn't a particularly long book either, so I feel like I can probably read this in one sitting when I just need a quick book to get through. But the idea just sounded really interesting, and I'm intrigued to see whether her grandmother's prediction is right this time. Then I picked up Scandalised by Ivy Owens. Again, the cover of this one just drew me in. This is a best friends brothers romance. Georgia's flight gets cancelled and she is stuck overnight in a city with no hotel rooms. when the older brother of her childhood best friend Alex shows up, and I believe he's gonna let her stay with him while she sorts out a new flight. They have one night of no strings attached passion, and she realizes that Alec isn't only familiar because she knew him when she was younger, he is also now a famous movie star. I've not read too many books with the trope of brother's best friend. I'm interested to see how the fact he is now a famous movie star is going to change their relationship. The final two books I got on that deal are both by the same author, so I got You Again and Made in Manhattan by Lauren Lane. I'm pretty sure either last month or the month before I listened to a book by this author on Audible and really liked it. I believe it was like a billionaire romance where the female character was a lawyer and she was sent to investigate the male character. I'm pretty sure it was this author, but I really did like that book. So when I saw these two in the works, I thought, I really like the audiobook, so I'm going to pick up some physical books by this author. I'd never heard of either of these. So first off, we have You Again. This is about Mackenzie, who wants what any modern commitment phobic woman in New York wants: a no strings attached hookup steamy enough to brag about over mimosas the next morning. What she doesn't want is her dating app's latest suggestion, preppy corporate Thomas Dekker. So she rejects him on the dating app, but it turns out that he is standing next to her and sees her do it, so he calls her out. She is really embarrassed, but then she goes to the office and it turns out he is also her new boss. And then he reappears again as her best friend's soon-to-be brother-in-law. So they keep bumping into each other. So I assume that they are going to fall for each other and she is going to regret rejecting him on the dating app. But I really wanted to read this because it's set in New York. Like, New York is the top of my bucket list destinations. I want to go so badly. So any books that are set in New York, I immediately want to read, which is coincidental that this one is also set in New York. So Made in Manhattan, this is the story of Violet, who always says the right things, wears the right clothes, and never rocks the boat. So when a friend of her beloved grandmother asks Violet to teach her newly discovered grandson how to fit in with the city's elite, Violet immediately agrees. Her task to prepare Kane Stone to take his place as heir to his family company, but he's not exactly an eager student. Born and raised in rural Louisiana, Kane is only playing along for the payout at the end. He's not interested in a relationship with the grandmother he just met and has no patience for the uppity Violet's attempts to turn him into a suit-wearing, museum-attending gentleman. But somewhere between the antagonistic dinner parties and tortured tux fittings, Kane and Violet begin to find a begrudging respect for each other and perhaps something more. This just sounds like the kind of book I'm absolutely going to love. Like I said, set in New York, so immediately know I'm going to enjoy it. I also feel like this is going to be a hero that I'm going to really like as well. So these are quite high on my TBR. Then the final book I picked up in the works is How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder. This is the story of Grey, and she's on a mission to save her career now the long-running TV show that she's been in is cancelled. With the role of a lifetime on the line, she's desperate enough to agree to her publisher's scheme to fake a love affair with a disgraced Hollywood heartthrob who just also happens to need the publicity boost. So I will say I'm not the hugest fan of fake dating. I do find that a lot of fake dating books are very similar when it comes down to the plot line. Our hero in this is Ethan. He just wants to be left alone between his high-profile divorce, his struggles with drinking, and his grief over the death of his longtime creative partner and best friend. He slowly let himself fade into the background. But if he ever wants to produce the last movie he and his partner wrote together, Ethan needs to clean up his reputation and step back into the spotlight. A juicy affair with a gorgeous actress might be just the ticket, even if it's the last thing he wants to do. With their plan working perfectly and sizzling chemistry between Grey and Ethan soon starts to feel like more than just an act. But in this ruthless industry, are they both too used to faking it to open up to themselves to the real thing? So to me, this sounds like it's going to be they are going to deny their feelings right until the very end. So I'm not too sure how much I am going to enjoy this, just because these are kind of tropes that I don't tend to enjoy too much. But I wanted to give it a go. The next book I actually bought off my best friend But we have a book club together, and we had a list of books that we potentially want to pick up over 2023, and one of them is Empire of the Vampire, and I've really struggled to get a copy of this book, and she actually ended up finding a signed edition. So she purchased the signed edition and I bought her old copy off her. I don't know when we are gonna get round to reading this. We wanted this to be our next pick because we are both really excited to read this. However, we posted on our book club account TikTok which book should we read next out of this and Twin Crowns, and Twin Crowns won the vote on both Instagram and TikTok. So this is probably what we're going to read after Twin Crowns. We are going to start that within the next couple of weeks. This is a thick book, so I feel like it's going to take a while. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I'm really excited that I finally have a copy of this. So if you're watching this, Shannon, thank you for selling it to me. Then the final two books I got are again by the same author. So the first one, I found this on Vinted, and that is Forget Me Not Bombshell by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. They are the authors of the Zodiac Academy series, which myself and Shannon absolutely devoured in 2022. This is part of the Mafia Wars series. Now, I believe the Mafia Wars series is by a collaboration of authors, and a different author has written a book and then they all fit together to make a series. But if I enjoy this, then I will look a bit more into the whole Mafia Wars series and maybe pick up some other books. I believe they can all be read as standalones, or I'm hoping they can all be read as standalones. They just kind of interlink with each other. So this is obviously a mafia romance. Our main character is sold to her enemies, the butchers of the London mob, who run an empire built on sin and greed. Danny, Church, Frank, the three men who own me now. I won't become their plaything, I won't become their prize. The war between our families might have ended with this union, but I'm starting a battle of my own, and I'll trade my body for a chance to leave this wedded bliss behind. Again, this is like a really thick and chunky book, so I don't know when I'm going to get round to it, and it's probably going to take me a while. I've really gotten into mafia romances over the last few months, so when I found out these authors who I really love had written a mafia romance, I immediately wanted it. And just like the Zodiac Academy books, the chapters all have these illustrations on them, which are beautiful. And then whilst we're speaking of Zodiac Academy, I purchased a Zodiac Academy The Awakening as told by the boys. If I move, I don't know if you can see, is that my Zodiac Academy shelf? No, the one above is my Zodiac Academy shelf. So I own all of the physical books 1 to 8. But they've also written the first book in the series from the point of view of the heirs and some of the male characters in the series, which I find really, really interesting. And some of my favorite characters within the Zodiac Academy series are the heirs. So I'm really intrigued to read an entire book from their point of view in the next few weeks. I'm definitely going to pick this one up. It made me really excited. I know that some of my favorite characters are going to have their points of view in this book, and yeah, I just can't wait to see Zodiac Academy from a different perspective. So they are all of the books which I have picked up recently. I do actually have a few more which are on the way to me, but I'll save them for another video. Thank you so much for watching this. If you've read any of these books, then please let me know what your opinions of them were in the comments down below, or if you have any book recommendations, then also let me know. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week.